All right.
Well, welcome everybody. We are super excited here at Next Level Salon Leadership to have Tracey with us, who has over 3 decades in the beauty industry. She's been a salon owner for 20 years. She's a powerhouse director and industry disruptor, and the visionary founder of salontraining.com, which is a groundbreaking platform revolutionizing education for beauty professionals. With decades of experience behind the chair and in the classroom, Tracey saw a gap in the industry. Talented stylists craved advanced education, but access was scattered, inconsistent, and often out of reach. So she created the solution, salontraining.com, which brings the industry's top trainers and educators together in one dynamic online space, offering on-demand, real-time, and affordable education that meets beauty pros exactly where they are. From cutting-edge techniques to business mastery, Tracey's mission is simple: elevate the beauty industry by making world-class education accessible to all. Well, welcome, Tracey.
Well,
We
thank
are
you.
we are excited. You are here. Tina and I, when we founded Next Level Salon Leadership, we were kind of in the same space as you, as we noticed that there was a gap in the industry. So, kind of talk us through when you had that breakthrough, because obviously you've held all facets of this industry under your 3 decades. So when is it that you just kind of said, this is what's lacking, and here's what I'm going to do about it?
All right, one word, COVID. So during the pandemic, we were all sent home, of course, and I couldn't get in to see my team, and we were missing people. And I just kept seeing everybody in the industry going live consistently on Facebook and Instagram and social media links and Zoom. And of course, we had it before that, but it just kind of like exploded during that time. So I said, wow, how would I have not, if I wouldn't have known this person, how would I know that she's teaching this amazing class for all of us while we're home? And so I got to thinking, like, if you're not in that community, how can we get this everybody together somewhere? So that's basically what our salontraining.com model one was it was just a directory, a website basically that you can find who's going live, when they're going live, and doing their Zooms. And then it took a year to build that though. So, because it was a customized website. So after a year, of course, everybody's already back into their salons and people were getting a little tired of Zoom and social media there for a minute. They had to get back in. So then we did sorry, I shouldn't shut that off. And then we did a model two, which model two is what we have right now. It is the beauty industry directory. So I think it's a whole lot better because same thing with shows, like I've been in the salon industry for a long time, and if I didn't hear about a show until like a couple weeks before, I'm like, I can't go to that. I already have my books full. So that seemed to be a major challenge, I think, for most people. They're like, oh, I didn't even know that, this one was going on. So the directory basically is set up for the need of information. Where do I find a trainer? Where do I find next level salon leadership? Where do I find people to help me in the beauty industry of cutting, or coloring or hiring or whatever? So that's what ours is. You can go there and you can find different trainers. I think that's probably my favorite tab is the trainer tab on there because they can go in and just type in cutting and then they can see all the different trainers in the industry that is part of our network who can come into their salon or have classes that teach on hair cutting and so on, like business and color and all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much how it started. It's just because the need of, I felt lost and I felt like all these other people probably do too. Like, how do we connect? You know? So
Yeah, so when you talk about your trainers and educators, where are you finding them? How are you recruiting them, and how are you driving them to your platform?
so it's been a blessing. One person hears about it and then the next person calls. And, at the very beginning, I reached out to Gino Stampor was the first person I reached out to. And I said, Gino, has anybody done this like a website or something that we all can kind of be in the same place and stuff? He's like, I don't know, not in this capacity. So we kind of like I was brainstorming with him, and then I kept calling different people and said, like, what do you think? And everybody's like, yeah, this sounds fun. We should do this together. And so that's how it happened. And then one person leads into, five more and so on and so on. So we have the website for a couple years now, kind of playing with different models. And we absolutely enjoy meeting new people. I love meeting new trainers, probably more than anything, because I get to find out like how did I not know about the Wilsons? Okay, like listen to this. They've been around for many, many years, the Philip Wilson and Mary Wilson. When I started this, someone said, "Oh, you need to talk to them. You know them, right?" And I said, "How do I not know?" Like I'm literally depressed and sad about myself because I'm like, I thought I did all like the right, really good education through these years, and people are coming out of the woodwork, and I'm like, I'm embarrassed, honestly, as a beauty professional, not to know about some of these amazing top educators that are in our industry. So basically, we're recruiting just by word of mouth. People have been sending people like, "Hey, my friend needs to be on here. She's a trainer. She helps this." Then I also go to shows myself consistently, and I will see, wow, that was a really great class. I need to, talk with this particular person about coming into the network.
I love that. So it's very, very grassroots. It's exactly like the salon industry. It's crazy how you know somebody who knows somebody. It's like that, what do they say, 6 degrees of separation. That's pretty much how this industry is. So that's awesome that you've built that platform for everybody to come together and connect. So what would where would somebody, let's say, who's struggling with management experience, where would you send them on your website? Where would you say that they should
Yeah,
start? And if you want, I can let you share your screen
yeah. Let me show.
if you wanted to demo it a little bit, figures that way the ones that choose to watch this on our YouTube channel, or if you're listening to it, you can go to Tracey's website, but this way you'll be able to kind of give a live demo to drive our listeners to become a part of your network as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump on here and share this homepage. It seems like every time we're on like a platform, it is a little slower, so I apologize if that happens. Um,
Yeah, no problem. Just
okay,
want to make sure that
can you see
perfect.
that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is probably my favorite part. So just type in salontraining.com. It's a free platform for beauty professionals. It's actually a free platform for trainers and product companies as well.
Really?
So, and we could talk about that in a second. But basically, you want to come under here, and if you want to add yourself as a trainer, you can go in and fill out this trainer tab. And if you're the one that's teaching, you can just go in and fill that out. But we'll skip that for right now. So if I wanted to go into different categories such as business or
Oh,
color,
wow.
hair cutting, extensions, I can go in and find out who these particular trainers are. Let me give a shout out to Cami Parson. So she's the inventor of Uveni. So we talk about it all the time now because it is like one of our favorite products, like in my salon and lots of others. But she was in the salon industry for many years and decided, hey, we do chemistry. I want to go to chemistry school and see more about hair and learn things.
Hmm.
Fabulous. She created a product that is like un, un it's unmatched in the beauty industry. So it basically she found a fourth layer of hair that we didn't all know about for a long time.
Oh,
So
wow.
so anyway, if you wanted to find out about more about her, you can read this. And then if you've already talked with her, we're going to start doing reviews here soon. We haven't done that recently, until recently, more. But there's also going to be, or right now, you can find their phone numbers, you can find their email, you can link to their Instagram or Twitter. So if you're interested, like, who is this person? All right, just follow their stuff, go to their website, and all this is on there. There will be, starting in the fall of 2025, depending on when you're listening to this, there also will be videos that will be on here that the trainers will explain a little bit more about themselves as well and how they can help you in the beauty industry. So that's kind of why I like that one. If you're looking for products in the industry, you can come right under products, and you can also do the same thing of, hey, I'm looking for education books. I'm looking for hydraulic chairs, looking for blow dryers. This is probably one of my favorite blow dryers ever. It's by Two Blondes Apparel. It's so lightweight. You can go in there and do the product link and so on and so on. Then also there's the shows and events, which is I think probably one of the most important things we do have to get on here, just in my personal experience with not knowing where they are. So I know we've been talking to Premier and different ones like, hey, let's just get these all on here so people know where these are. So
Hmm.
something coming up in Greece. Brad Poirier from Canada, he actually does all of the cruise ships education and stuff. So they'll be on here and so on and so on. On jobs, we haven't really focused here a whole lot, but we are going to be again in September. Um, Having people putting them on here. So if you are a salon owner listening and you are looking to hire, which everybody seems to be, you can go
Yes.
there and just add a job for free. It doesn't cost you anything. We haven't really promoted the job area just yet, but I'll tell you about what we're going to be doing with that. And then, of course, in-person classes. If you want to go to the education tab, you can see which ones are virtual, which ones are in person. So I know we have a lot of in-person ones coming up at our own show, and I don't know if you guys know who Cal Grace is, but I was blown away by that girl lately. So she was at the Chicago Hair Show. She teaches 4 updos in like 10 minutes, or maybe 10 updos in 4 minutes. I don't know. It was like whatever. I was like, holy
Wow.
crap. And they were gorgeous. And I know she's going to be at our hair show in Pennsylvania. I've been talking about her for like a week now since I was like, where did this girl come from? She's fabulous. But yeah, you can find like Malibu Sea, Brazilian Blowout. There's all kinds of them on here. And you can just hit the next button and see all the different classes. So that's basically what that is.
Love this.
We will be doing blogs and different things too. Nick Arojo is going to be at the Pennsylvania Beauty Pros Expo, the hair show in Pennsylvania too. Um, that's actually one of the persons I think we were just texting right why it just keeps going off because I was supposed to send out some things to him actually today. So you can find all these different classes that are on here. And the nice thing about this too is if you can't do a particular class, at least you can say, well, that sounds great. Where else are they teaching it?
Hmm.
Stop the share.
I love that. So it's like a one stop shop for everything you're looking for, from education to management experience to products. Like it's even chemistry is listed in there.
Yep, absolutely.
I
Um,
love
and why I'm saying September, so a couple years ago, I'm from Western Pennsylvania, and I remember 1993, and I know everybody says that dates you, and it does, and that's just what it is. I don't care. That's my age. So that was my very first hair show at Seven Springs Mountain Resort back then. And I remember my teacher saying, make sure you sit in these classes and stuff. And I didn't even really know what the beauty industry was, to be honest. I was in cosmetology school just to get out of homeschool. I was in 10th grade. I was like, I don't know, I'm just going to get to play with hair instead of sitting in math class. And I was like, this was so eye-opening. When I went to my first hair show, I said, oh my gosh, this is a real career. You can actually make money and you can do fun things. Like I'm in. And so went to lots of shows in my lifetime. And about 20 some years ago, the shows had stopped in our area. We don't need continuing education in Pennsylvania. So they kind
Mm.
of like, well, we got to kind of go somewhere else that's needing that. And they outgrew the space. There was a lot of attendees and not enough space for how these hair shows wanted to grow. Some people retired, that kind of thing. So when we were doing this, I said, wow, these trainers would be great all together somewhere. And I think I posted something like, oh, I missed the Seven Springs show or something. And someone had commented back saying, oh, yeah, do you know if it's coming back? And I'm like, it should. So that's how the hair show started. So I ended up calling Seven Springs and I said, if we were to do a hair show there, like, could you walk me through your event space and kind of have a conversation? And the lady goes, Tracey, I don't know who you are, but I'm super glad you called. And I said, why is that? She goes, we haven't had it in decades in this place. She said, literally, still every year we get phone calls all the time about, is there a hair show this year? And I'm like, really? So yes,
Wow.
you do need to have it there. So that's where that started. And we had year one, year two, and my intention was to have it every other year. And the vendors and trainers kind of convinced me to have it again this year. So
Okay.
after last year, we had a meeting. They're like, "You're nuts. You need to continue this because it's a growing thing. You don't just like, here, let's do something. It's going well, and then like, boom, you're done." But I'm like, guys, I'm a one man ship, so like it is hard. And I don't say that I'm one man ship, like meaning like I'm the only one. Like I do have people that I hire out. I have some really good team members that like, hey, can you do the emails today? Can you do this and stuff like that? But usually there's a head of trainers, there's a head of vendors, there's a head of venue, there's a head of marketing, there's a head of, and it is a lot. I don't mind hard work. I love it, and it's for the right reasons. Um, but we aren't doing a show next year, so I've already told them, and we've already told Seven Springs, like, it's not coming back next year. So if you want to come to Western Pennsylvania, this is the year to do it. We are blowing this one up this year. We are looking, of course, to have it every other year, though. So we can't. Pennsylvania was left off the map far too long,
Love
and we
that.
can't have that anymore. Like, for our people in this area and the region deserve it and need it. So we just want to make sure everybody knows about it.
I love that. So it sounds like you laid a good foundation for the website, and you have a great plan, and that's something that we talk about a lot in Next Level Salon Leadership is the importance of laying that foundation, especially when you own a salon. What does that foundation look like for you? And as somebody who's owned a salon a long time, I'd love to kind of talk about those trials and
Mhm.
tribulations that you had because we
Yeah.
all know, and I think that that's something that we always like to drive the conversation to is like a lot of times from the outside people always look in and say salon ownership is wonderful and it's beautiful and it's easy and I can do hair, so let's open a place and get all my friends together and let's do hair. But um, salon owner to salon owner, we know that that is not what it's like. So we always like to peel back those layers and kind of talk about, especially we love when we have somebody that has decades of experience to go back to like when you first started, like what were those? And looking back on it, what would you tell yourself now? Or what would you have, prepared for differently? Because I think all of us, when we start our salons, there's a lot of pivots in those first couple years of things that you were like, if I would have known this, we wouldn't have done this. So I'd love for you to share some of those.
Yes, you're absolutely right. All of us that have done it will have stories. And so I first worked at a corporate salon and what I'm so sorry. There's nobody even here. I don't know where it's okay. So it was a corporate salon. Sorry, I'm gonna mute this for a second and tell him.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right there is a
Yeah.
something with this business. Sometimes you work from home and that's what you have. But yeah, so whenever I had that first career, there was a lot of traffic, of course. So as a young stylist, you're building and you're building and you're building, and I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Maybe I'll do this myself. And so I ended up finding a house. I was actually looking for a house, to be honest, at first, not a salon. And the house that I found actually had a salon in it. So I was like, I should do this. So that's one mistake. It's just jumping into it, thinking you have clients, you're going to run a salon. And I wouldn't say make a mistake, make a discovery, of course, that like you might not just want to jump in. You might want to research and educate yourself on a salon before you just jump in. Anyway, ended up doing decently okay. And then I was looking for rental properties. I said, you know what? I don't have anybody anymore doing my 401k or, stuff like this when I'm independent. I said, oh, maybe I should get into some properties and ended up finding a property, actually rental property that had a salon below it. So I was like, well, this is pretty cool. So that's how that started.
Okay.
Had that business for 12, 13, 14 years, somewhere in there. But in the meantime, I wanted to branch out. And that's where I made my mistake, I think, to be honest. Like the biggest mistake that I made is I said, okay, we're doing decently okay. I am going to go ahead and get another salon and open that, and had another mortgage for that one and mortgage for this one, and all the salon debt started coming. And when I had team members, of course, that needed all of this, it just spiraled out of like, oh my, what did I get myself into? And the business was okay on the visual outside to everybody else, like you just said. But in the meantime, I worked 15, I literally worked 80 hours a week. That's exactly what my shift was, 80 hours a week. I did that for 10 years, 10 years. And
Ooh.
I literally remember, I tell this story often. I remember laying on the floor at 1 o'clock in the morning, cleaning my vents that had hair all through them and saying, what did I get myself into? And like crying because I couldn't even move my legs. I literally didn't even know how I was going to get home because I couldn't move my legs anymore. They were so weak from just doing client after client and client after, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, how am I working this long, have this, but have no money? And I ended up having to, there was one time in my career that I remember thinking, I don't even know if I have money for payroll. How am I going to do this week? You know? And so I ended up saying, all right, I need another job. So I worked 80 hours in my own salon. And then I ended up going and worked at a bar in the evening as a, server, and then also started cleaning houses on Sundays. And it was like, but I made payroll. I never not paid my team ever. Like their checks were never late. Like that was really important to me. But I said, if I could go back now and see what I would do differently, it would be education. And I think that's why I love
Mm.
this so much, is because I remember sitting in a classroom at a hair show, and the speaker was sitting there saying, are you tired of not making any money? Are you tired of your team not making any money? You're tired not to have, you don't have enough money at the end of the month, that kind of stuff. And I remember tears running down my face saying, everything this guy is saying is me. And so they said, you ready? Are you ready to actually not have this, problems anymore in your life and step it up? And I said, yes. So I ended up taking my credit card to them. I actually have a credit card here. I said, I ended up taking my credit card, handing it to them. And I said, I don't know if this is going to work, but I know I need to be here. And I did not know if I'm going to be getting home on the gas that I had and the money that I had in my account. I didn't even know if I was going to be eating lunch. I just was at this show. And so I talked to them, and they were a beautiful company that said, okay, let's make it work. And so they just did little tiny payments to get me there and stretched it out. And then I did fundraisers to go to the show. And it was called Inspiring Champions with Lauren Gartner.
Mm.
So
Yes.
she changed my world. She changed my life. She changed my business. I didn't know if I trusted the process at first because it was very different. I remember like doing the consultations longer, and I'm like, you expect me to sit here for a half an hour talking to people, or 15 minutes, whatever it was. I don't even know. I can't even get in another person, let alone sit here and talk for 15 minutes about what they're doing. Okay. And my normal was, what are we doing today? Okay, here's your haircut. Okay, thanks. Bye. And that model didn't work. And I had to realize that that's not a model that's making me any money. My model was, when I actually sat, what was working was when I sat that extra 15 minutes and asked them, what challenges do you have in your hair? What kind of products are you using? How well do you like them? And the whole system that she worked with. And I came back and I'm like, okay. And I had to figure out how to do it. And I did a little bit more, a little bit more. And then I started helping my team. Every single one of us started having I'm not talking small increases. We saw huge increases by just doing some new things. So I ended up, from someone that couldn't afford the $1,700 ticket, I ended up going to that champ camp 3 times. I hired a coach for whatever amount per hour. I ended up taking all of their programs, and then I started going to Tony Robbins, and I started going to all these different people, and it's because I started having the funds to do it and realized it worked. So if
Yeah.
anybody is listening and you said, I just want to open a salon because I have clients, that's the mistake that I made too. I should have done the education first on how to make money in the industry and not how to cut hair. I needed to know how the business
Mm.
part of it behind the chair. And that's why, like, I am so passionate about with my own team, which I ended up having a couple salons where I was saying, and then I kind of need to step backwards for a second, because life will kick you to the curb when you think you have achieved it. I felt like, wow, I've actually achieved this now. Like I'm always like, whatever, as far as like, let's go on vacation or let's do a class. I had the money to do so then because I learned how to do it. And then I ended up getting married and said, I'm going to close all my salons except for one because I want to have kids and I can't be all these different places. And my dream was to work so hard that when I had kids that I'd be able to be a mom, and have a salon, but not work in it every day of my life. So I ended up having a manager in place. Life was like, oh, my dreams are coming true. This is great. And then the state came in on the last salon that I had. The state came in and said, I'm going to take your building. And because they were doing eminent domain, they were putting a road through where I was at. They were widening the road, so I was losing my whole building. And I said, you've got to be kidding. I literally have just now gutted this entire building and made it one and closed all my other ones. And now you're coming to tell me this? Like, what did I do? So that's what it was. And then I had to redo everything all over again. So I ended up at that time I had a 6-month-old daughter. And I said, now if I move, I'm going to have to rebuild my business all over again. That's not really fair, but life is not fair. So it's just, I, I love knowing that life is okay regardless. You're going to have setbacks. And if you don't think you will, then that's not a reality anyway. You need to be strong for sure if you're an owner. And you need to be strong as a person, as a, anybody living life. You need to be stronger than what you think you can be. So I think that's kind of my story about the salon industry. And the one thing that I would change is definitely get more education on the business side. I love hair classes. I love haircuts. I love color classes and nails and all that stuff. And that is needed. But the part that people lack, I think, so much is saying, how do I make money as a stylist, and as a salon owner. So that's kind of where that is. So
Wow, what a journey it's been for you for sure. You mentioned after inspiring champions, there were a few things that really helped you grow you and grow your team, and you're not talking little dollars, like exponentially. Would you share a few of those?
yes, as far as like the techniques that we did.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed what I learned so much. Like I said, the consultations was definitely the biggest. And it's not fun. It's not fun sitting there writing a whole bunch of things. And like there's a lot of stress I think I've seen from stylists that say, my client's not gonna like it. My client's not gonna want me to ask these questions.
Mm,
They sure do. And we've tested it and tested it and tested it. I actually went to like Giant Eagle and Starbucks and all these different places after I started playing with it and just asked random people. I said, I know this is going to sound a little bizarre. I said, but can I ask you some questions about your hair, even though I'm not your stylist, because I'm doing a survey of whether people like this kind of stuff or not. Hands down, everybody liked it. I can't even tell you someone that didn't like it. Now we had some men in the salon that we ended up not doing a very long consultation, and that's another side thing. But overall, sitting down with people, our clients said, I've never had anybody sit down and talk to me as much as you had about my wants and needs. I always feel rushed in a salon. And in my old way, thought rushed was like, hey, you got to get to your next person. You got a next person. I was burning myself out. I made no money. And now I slowed down. I work better with the clients. They're more respectful of what we ask them. And I'm making, I work less and make more. So that's one of the things that I think that they taught beautifully was the consultation. And I ended up I had a coach from them. And like I said, whenever my business was getting shut down from the state coming in, I remember my coach from them said, you know what, do you really want to open a salon again? Or do you like what do you like and what don't you like? And I said, oh my gosh, I don't like sitting there making orders. I
mm,
don't like the taxes. I don't like the paperwork. She's like, what do you like? I said, what I love the most? I love whenever a team member or a stylist comes in the salon and they're making like $10 an hour or something for years. And I love that they come in and they make 15 and then they make 20 and then we show them make 30 and 40 an hour and we track their numbers with them. I said, that's what fuels my fire. She's like, Tracy, why are you not a coach? Why are you a salon owner? She said, you need to be out there talking about this. And so like that's right before COVID actually. Gino and I and Nikki Lee and stuff like had some classes that we were doing in Pennsylvania. And I absolutely loved it. And I did go around and said, I asked everybody I could think of. I said, can I teach you a free class? Can I teach you a free class? I want to see if I could do this, first of all. And I want to see if it's not just my salon, I want to see if other salons actually, if it works for. And it did. And the people that learned it but do the systems are the people. Like you can't learn something and not do it.
mm.
I remember Jim Carrey, he did a thing on YouTube. There was a thing going out. He said, I put it in the world that I was going to make $1 million. And I wrote myself out a check for $1 million and put it in my pocket. Do you remember seeing that one? It was
Yeah.
so good. And he said, he put it in there and he said, you couldn't even read it sometimes. He said, I couldn't just say, oh, I'm going to put it into the universe and I'm going to have $1 million. He said, no, I put it in the universe and thought about it, talked about it, but I also did stuff. He
Yeah.
said, so you have to do it. And that's where, the dedication that I see team members that make money, they'll sit and do a consultation. They'll know their numbers at the beginning of the day and they'll know their numbers at the end of the day. The thing that I feel is the most waking thing I can say, eye-opening experience for our industry is you ask any salon stylist that's commission. I know, booth renting is a little bit, well, actually this goes in with that too. If you ask them how much they make per hour, like, what do you make per hour? You know what? 99% of them will say, I don't know. I get commission. What does that mean? Like, what do you make per hour? You should know if you are watching your numbers and wanting to advance your career, you should know what you make per hour. And we work with my team in my salon. They have a paper they fill out every day. They put their totals on it. They put their commission rate. They put their tips. They divide it by how long they've been there. I mean, we do tips different and that, but I want to know what they do as a whole, and
Yeah.
they should know it too. And now, if we ask them like, "What do you make an hour?" They can tell me like, "This is what I make." So,
I love that. So as we kind of get close to the end here, I wanted to have you kind of unlock how you got the resisting team members to the consultation to see the value in it. Because I think a lot of times when we're working with our team members and we bring in a new idea or we bring in something new, and just because we as salon owners or managers see the value in it, we're like, this is it. This is going to change the game for everybody. And then you have the stylists that are like, I don't have time for that. It's too much. I'm not doing this. Like, how did you get them to overcome that obstacle? Because I know there's a lot of salons, as you've seen in the industry, that are transitioning the old way and they're going to charging for late for labor and parts. So they're using salon scale or Vish, which is dramatically different than how we've ever done. You get one single price, and now salons are dividing it up, and
yeah,
there's resistance to it because we've never done it that way. So like you said, the stylists are so used to, I'm triple booked. I'm getting through this because that's how I make the money at the end of the day. I literally have 10 minutes to apply this color before the next person sits down. I got 10 minutes and then I got to get them washed, and it's that constant cycle. So how did you get them to open their eyes, I guess, and push pause and see the value?
okay. So I had previous salon and new salon. So I'm going to talk about the previous salon. um, first because I worked in that salon all the time. My newest salon, I don't have time to work in, so I have an amazing manager that's doing it. So I'm going to not say that one
Okay.
just at this moment. So the previous salon, how I feel that they adapted to it is I didn't go in and force this at the beginning. I didn't go in and train this new technique at the beginning. I had learned early on that you can't come back from a show or training and stuff because I made this mistake with my husband. I came home from a Tony Robbins convention and I was changing everything in our house and I was going to be doing this and this and this. And why is he not doing it? Because he wasn't there. He didn't have the level of energy that I came home with. So I had to take myself down. And that's what I remembered for my team. If I go in and say, oh my gosh, this is going to make us so much more money, we have to do this, it will never work. It will absolutely never work. So what I had to do is I had to do it. I had to trust the process, keep it up, test the model, and then take a stylist and say, hey, would you like to learn this as well? We're going to test this with you just to see it. Then they tested it. And the other team, it caught on because like what we would post our numbers in the back and
Hmm.
post our average tickets and our average retail tickets and rebookings and post our how much we made per an hour. And then also at the end of the night, when we were doing the cash drawer, we would share our successes, be like, guess what? Guess what? We just made like triple what we did last week. So we'd celebrate within our circle and be like, oh, I can't wait to show you this. We'd pump them up for what? We can't do it necessarily with everybody right now. We're doing it with this. And then they'd be like, well, wow, she's making a lot. She's making a lot. Everything is changing. Then we would have a team meeting and say, listen, we tested this. We didn't just come back and say, hey, someone said this worked. We tested it. I tested it with this stylist, and we both can attest to this is it works. Like, check this out and show them in our salon. And they said, I see you guys every night. How are you doing? So then they were more acceptable to learn it. And then same thing, like you're obviously, you're going to have your resistors in your team and you're going to have your powerhouses. That's going to be like, hey, I'm
Hmm.
all on board. Um,
Yep.
then you have your fence sitters that are kind of like, I don't know, I got to see, in between what that means. But with my new salon, I'm not, for anybody that's listening to my new salon, I'm not knocking you. Okay. I love you all. But I took on a team that was very close in together, a lot of them, and they were used to a certain model, and it was the next one, the next one, the next one.
Yeah.
And I said, how much have you been making 15 years? And it's been about the same on, a couple
Hmm.
dollars difference,
That's a
of
good
course.
point.
And so, all right, do you want to make more money? And if so, how much more do you want to make? And then we showed them the systems at the beginning of when we started, and said, hey, here are the systems that we're going to be doing. And I'm really big into education, so they probably were ready to kill me and not like me that much at the beginning, because I said, we're going to go through a couple different things. I'm going to have some pretty big heavy hitters in here. So we had Gino come in and talk to them. We had Terry Cohen come in and talk to them, or Cohen, I'm sorry. Um, we had inspiring champions. We had Lauren come. We had the Wilsons come in, and I said, boom, 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 boom. We're going to have all of these powerhouses, because I can sit and tell you till I'm blue in face, but until you see other people talking about it, that's the same thing in the salons for years. I could go and teach my friend's salon things, and she can come and teach my friends, my team something. And if I told them, they're not going to hear it. If they hear it from someone else, they hear it. And
Always.
yes, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think salon owners get scared of that. They get intimidated. Well, I've been saying the same thing to them. They don't get it. It happens in your own family. You can tell your husband or your kids something. You can tell your kids something, and then your husband comes in and tells them, and then it's different, and that's just a human nature. So we have to get over the pride thing of like, we're just the owner and we're the only ones that can do it, and reach out for help. So education continuing, and when you're not setting that budget in there, I can guess that your numbers are about the same. you know so
For for sure. That's a great way to put it. I loved the example of you've been doing it the same way for so long, but you've made the same money regardless for so long over the course of time. Like that you showed them the value. Like it wasn't a forceful, strong arm, this is what we're gonna do. Like you showed them the value and got to buy in. So that's awesome, Tracy. So as we kind of wrap up here, is there anything that's heavy on your heart that you want to leave with salon owners and managers?
Yeah, pretty much kind of the same thing I said is, um, no matter what, don't be don't go into this and saying, I don't want to put the money into my team because they might leave. I hear that so often.
Oof.
I'm not gonna pay for education because they might leave. That that hurts my heart, because you will have them leave over that, because they're not gonna advance them. They're not gonna learn. They're gonna leave anyway. So you might as well have them leave on a good note, that you've helped encourage another person to become better. Then I worked for that particular salon and I never got any education and I never
Mm,
advanced. So it's your choice. So
I love that. Well, how do people find you? Obviously, you have your website. Let's tell them about that address one more time. Are you on Instagram? Like, how can they get in touch with you, continue this conversation if they want to?
yeah, so go right to salontraining.com. On the bottom on our footer, there is my phone number. I don't like emails.
Ah,
Get
okay.
lost. I hate emails. So because everyone's like, I didn't get it, I didn't get it. I'm like, search your spam wherever. And then we're playing email tag when we send it. Sending it to quick test. As you can see, this probably went off 15 times already during this car. And I call and I thought I put it on mute. But just give me a quick text and I will help guide you
Love
into
that.
some salon owners that can help, or some oh my goodness, from trainers or product companies that can help you. That's what someone just said recently. They're like, you've become a dating service. And I'm like, what? And they're like, because like people will call and say, hey, I need someone to help me with men's cutting in my salon. Who would that be? And then I'm like, oh, take this one. And I can share their profile to that
Hmm.
person. And when I said real quick, we're going to do something different in September. Do I have a second to talk about?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So the website has been like one focus, but the shows have taken over that focus drastically, because it is a massive amount to work on. And when one show ends, then you have to start on the next one. That's why I need that year break, because I need to focus actually on this website. So with that being said, There are going to be a lot of things changing in September for the website because I am going to be done with this in May, and then my kids are home for the summer, and I'm still in Salon. I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus it starting September whenever
I
they go
love
back
it.
to school, and we are going to vamp up our website drastically. And I know we're going to be talking about that at the show because we do have a membership right now, and it sounds silly to say the price. It's only $57 for an entire year to be a member. You don't have to be a member to see everything, but a lot of these trainers that are in our network are actually teaching a free class to our members. So it's $57 entire year. You get one class every single month by one of our trainers. And then
Hmm.
if you can't watch it, you can't be live, which is great to be live because you can ask them questions in real time. Then you just go up and you go to your salon training members thing on our website, and all of the education is there. So if you can't beat it for that particular price, then you can meet with these people. So that's what's coming down the pipeline is we're
Love
really
it.
going to focus more on jobs heavily because we know that that's the number one problem that salons are facing is I can't hire. So we really want to start pushing this with all kinds of different ads and campaigns that people can come on, put a free ad. You can do that now, put the free ad on, but we will start to market to schools and to people in different areas. If you're looking for a salon, go to salontraining.com because we have a big area for that. So
Love that.
thanks.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure we will have you back. Probably we'll look to circle back in after September when you've launched all your new things and we can kind of dive into, what's been going on in Tracy's world and all of that. And
I know Tina's coming to the show in Pennsylvania. Are you able to come so we can meet in person or
I will have
not
to
sure?
check my
Okay.
calendar, but typically where she is, I can usually make something work. So
Awesome.
there's a very good possibility I will be there. It'll be an honor to meet you in person.
You too. Well, thank you for today and talk to you soon.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.